In this video, we are going to look at some examples of the speaking part 1, 2 and 3. So as we said before, the part 1 is a face-to-face interview with the examinator. It usually lasts around 4 to 5 minutes and there are usually around 12 questions based on 3 different topics. Let's now look at what could be these topics. These topics could be work, study, homework, home, art, birthday, childhood, clothes, computers, daily routine, dictionaries, evening, family and friends, flowers, food, going out, happiness, hobbies, internet, leisure time, music, neighborhood, newspapers, pets, reading, shopping, sports, TV, transport and weather. And as you can see, there are various questions that could be asked. It's important to try to answer to this question and see if there are words that you don't know that probably will be helpful to express your opinion or your idea, and just to answer the actual question. So I find that sometimes students struggle with talking about clothes, for example. So do we know all the various vocabulary related to clothes? Let's see the question. So are your clothes important to you? Again, remember to answer the question, give further detail and then use an example. So yes, clothing is very important to me. In fact, I like to wear high-end luxury clothes and I always try to be particular in the way I look. For example, when I went to the theater, I had this Prada dress which was very fancy and it was very beautiful. So as you can see, I of course made up the entire example, but it is useful to have an idea related to the various vocabulary that relates to clothes. Because the other question that you can get could be, what kind of clothes do you usually wear? So do you usually wear jeans or trousers, or do you prefer skirts? Do you wear something more smart or something more casual? Do you ever wear traditional clothes of your country? So you can have some space now to talk what are the traditional clothes of your own country. And where do you usually buy clothes? Again, do we know the name of the brands, and in English of course, and where these are in our own city? Have you ever worn a uniform? So you can say that at your school there are usually uniform, what are the color of the uniform, etc. And do most people in your country follow like a fashion, like a way of dressing? Let's look at another example. Another difficult example usually is the flower topic. I would be even much of a challenge even if I talk about flowers in my own mother tongue. So I can imagine that in English it's even harder. So do you like flowers? This is a general question. Remember to say yes, explain more details and give an example. So yes, I really love flowers. I was born in the countryside near a big field full of flowers. In fact, I used to go playing in these fields and it always reminds me of my childhood. What's your favorite flowers? So here you can memorize it, so at least know a few names of some flowers that you can talk about if the flower topic comes to your speaking IELTS. When was the last time you gave someone flowers? Do any flower have a special meaning in your country? So it could be the flowers for the deaf people, or the flowers they use for the weddings. And why do you think women like flowers more than men? Here are some other examples. So for hobbies, leisure time, happiness, internet, neighborhood, reading, newspaper, pets. So as we have done so far, just look at each of these topics, try to speak out loud, even if you don't have someone to speak to, just speak to yourself, but you already recognize if you have enough topic to talk about and if you have a wide vocabulary that you can use. Other examples, shopping, weather, sports, TV, and so on. So here you can find all the various topics that could come up in your IELTS speaking exam. Let's look now at the part 2, the talk. So it usually lasts around 3 to 4 minutes. So you have 1 minute to prepare your talk and then you will need to speak for 1 or 2 minutes. So when you prepare a talk, remember of the strategy that we were talking about. So past, present and future, give a story for each of these periods. So here it's an example, the art, so describe a piece of art. So we remember that we were saying that you can describe something of art from your past, of your present and of your future. And then here, what the work of art is. So when I describe a past work of art, I can say the art notebook that I used to have was full of pictures related to the methodology. And when you first saw it, I was a child and they gave it at school. And what do you know about it? There were many pictures and they were talking about the Greeks and explain why you liked it. I like it very much because there were many stories behind each picture. And the same thing we will do with the present and the future. Then it's the area related to books or to communication, daily routine, exercise, family, gift, hobby. So let's look at a hobby, for example. Describe an interesting hobby. Again, you can start with an introductory sentence. So in this section I'm going to talk about 3 different hobbies. The first one is a hobby that I used to do in the past. I used to go dancing very often during the week. Usually there are more women than men in the dance class, but that really depends on your style. I was dancing classical and modern type of dance. And usually it's done in the theater for the performance or in a dance school for the practice. And it was very interesting and fun because I met many people and I love music. Currently my hobby is yoga, for example, and there are many people doing it. It makes you more flexible and it also makes you feel better mentally, and I find it very calming and relaxing. In the future, I would really love to start and try snowboarding. I love the mountains and I would really like to see this type of sports, try it, and it would be interesting to try it with other friends that maybe knows better, and so I can get to an expert level sooner. So as you can see, I had enough topic to talk for 1 minute or 2. Other examples are the internet, journey, kindness, language, music, news, old people, photograph, respect, sport, travel. Let's look at, for example, the travel. So describe a place you have recently visited. Again, also here you can talk about a past experience, present and future. So when I was a child, I used to go very often to the seaside. I usually went with my friends and family, so with my grandma or my grandparents or my mother. We would get there with the car and we would stay for 1 or 2 weeks. I really enjoy it because I love swimming and hanging out with friends. Currently, I am visiting, or I am here in the UK for a few days to do the IELTS exam and to visit a friend. And in the future, I would really look forward to visiting the United States and do the West Coast and see all the various parks. It seems very naturalistic with really great landscapes, etc., etc. Another example, the unexpected, vacation, water, your favorite shop, zoo. And these are some of the examples that you can use. Again, practice out loud. You'll realize if you have enough vocabulary and topics to discuss and to describe. Remember, you have 1 minute to prepare and around 1 to 2 minutes to talk. Try to talk as much as possible. The examinator will interrupt you and move to the next part of the IELTS speaking when he has or she has enough data to give you a mark. Let's look now at the part 3. It is a discussion with the examinator. It usually lasts between 4 and 5 minutes, and they will ask you broader topic, usually linked to the part 2. So let's look at some examples. So we had arts, clothes, education, family, food. So for example, in the food area, they can ask you, do you think a diet is important? What is a balanced diet? What is the typical diet of people in your country? Do many people eat in restaurants in your country? Why do some people enjoy eating out? What's the difference between restaurant food and home-cooked food? Again here, if you have a strong opinion about diet, maybe the IELTS speaking exam is not the best place to express something that touches you emotionally very deeply, so just keep it quite general. Say things that will simplify in a way your life. So I might think that diet is important, but that certain diets are not correct, so just keep it general. So I can say, yes, I think diet is very important. Many people follow a diet for a certain goal, so to become fitter, to heal from sickness. However, some diets have certain benefit, other diets can also have some negative aspects. So just keep it very general and add as many information as possible, and then you would pass, in my example, to an example. Another areas that you could receive question are health, internet, media news, nature, society, travel. So for example, travel. Why do some people prefer to travel abroad rather than in their own country? Do you think traveling to another country can change the way people think? Do you think it is good for children to experience life in a foreign country? How have holidays changed over the past few decades? Do you think it is safer to travel now than in the past? Again, every day you could maybe choose one of these topics and try to spend 4 or 5 minutes just talking about this topic by answering the various questions, so that you can see if you have enough vocabulary and fluency to talk about the specific topic. Another example could be a work topic. And all of these are the various themes and topics that you can find in the IELTS Part 3. I hope that these various examples can be useful for your preparation. Feel free to stop the videos when you see a different example and to practice as much as possible.